This is Jeremiah, and he wants to know about Manafort's status. Has he surrendered? Is he going to be incarcerated, or I guess jailed, or what's going to happen?
Yeah, so he surrendered this morning at around 8:15 a.m. When he went in, he did not know that Papadopoulos had flipped.
Today, we found out that George Papadopoulos, a foreign policy advisor to Donald Trump campaign, has struck a plea deal and is cooperating with the special counsel Robert Mueller.
The court papers suggest defendants indicate he is willing to cooperate, and then on the next page, public disclosure of the defendant's initial appearance, however, would significantly undermine his ability to serve as a proactive cooperator. What this says to me is that Papadopoulos, between July and October, was wearing a wire.
He's had him out there wearing a body wire, playing dial-a-crook on the phone, trying to get recorded conversations that can be used as evidence against other people.
I'm sure that was unwelcome news to him once he arrived. He will go to a bail hearing, and Mueller is going to make every case that he can that Manafort either should have no bail because he's a flight risk, he might run to Russia, whatever argument he would make, or his bail should be extremely high, and that bail, he should not be able to pay for his bail with ill-gotten gains. That's kind of a controversial procedure that sometimes is applied to bail payments, and I say controversial because in America you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So having to prove that that the money that you're putting up for bail isn't sullied is putting the legal cart before the horse.
So Dennis Dunn, who has the same name of a favorite actor of mine who I worked with back in L.A., he brings up something that I kind of hinted at as well, that because these are tax things that are from 2013, or at least we know before Manafort joined the Trump campaign, how could this be related?
That's a really good point. There's a couple answers to that question. The top one is that, look, if this is all there ends up being, then yeah, this investigation was a bit of a dud. But two, if Manafort is highly indebted to Russian sources, that gives them leverage. If he has all of these undisclosed ties and financial ties to pro-Russian oligarchs in Ukraine, that also gives leverage and could play into a question of collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. And three, if they can use this legal leverage to get him to talk, and he does actually have something to say that goes to the question of collusion, then we're going to get somewhere. And if not, then we're not.
So Mimi Miller has a question on another topic, but just one more thing on this. During the interval between May, when Robert Mueller took over this investigation, and today, you and I haven't done much on Russia, and there have been a number of people just about every time, but when we covered the adoptions, or just the not Russian adoptions, but sorry, when we covered other stories that need foster care, other stories, people would say, why did you stop covering it? I don't know about your answer. I want you to answer. My answer is that I felt that once Robert Mueller was investigating this, I didn't have to worry about whether we'd ever get to the bottom of it. And so, there are so many other things that are important, and it's already on so many other shows.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. The job of a journalist really is to break news and to bring new information to people rather than just chase the rest of the pack. And if there are people that are at the front of the pack that are going to beat you every day on this story, like the New York Times and the Washington Post are wired into Mueller's office, or into the defense attorneys in the White House. Like they've been covering these types of things. They have a huge team that's working on this, and they're the ones that are going to break a lot of the news on this. Meanwhile, Eric makes a good point that once you can follow the investigation like minute by minute if you want to try to get in and get information on it, but the Times and Post are going to beat you to that anyway, and B, like Eric says, you're eventually going to get the indictment and you can read what actually came out, which isn't speculation. It's what the Department of Justice is putting down in print. And so then what do you do with your own time? Do you chase the Times and the Post around, or do you try to find other stories that are not being covered where you can make a difference on?